So you're planning a trip to Europe, or maybe thinking about planning a trip to Europe, and you want to make sure that there's no surprises that are going to completely devastate your vacation. Well, you're in the right place. These are the top things you need to know before planning or heading out on your European vacation. So for those of you that don't know me, I am actually a professional travel advisor. And yesterday we had a huge seminar with the European Union and their travel authority. There were 7 things that they mentioned that I want to share with you to make sure your upcoming vacation is as smooth as possible. So let's go ahead and jump in with number 1, and that is their new Reopen EU website. Now this website is the one you're going to use to figure out what exact requirements per country you're going to need to know. So this is where you're going to go to find out the country you're going to, what their COVID situation is, what testing or vaccine or rules you need to get into their country. This is also where you're going to go to decide what rules you need from where you're coming from, whether you're coming from America or Canada. And there are some countries that also break it down by what state you're coming from. There's some states that are approved and some that are not. So this is the website you're going to go to for that. This is also the website you're going to go to if you're transiting between countries. So for instance, you're going to London, but you have a stopover in Ireland. You need to check that information as well, because that could change the requirements ultimately when you get to England. This is actually created by the EU and maintained by them. So this is the top place where you're going to get the most correct information and the links to the different countries' embassies, so that you can always stay on top of what exactly is required for your vacation. This is something you're going to want to stay on top of from the moment you book it and plan it and book it all the way through when you actually travel, because as you know, things change hourly, it seems. So let me show you around a little bit and make sure that you're familiar with it and comfortable with it for planning your vacation. Alrighty, so as you can see, this information not only is available on a website, but is also available on the Google Play or App Stores if you'd like. But what it does is on this front page, you see that there's a kind of a color representation of the current COVID situation. Where you want to get into the planning information is come here to the down arrow, if I can make it work. Select the location that you're heading to. So for instance, let's say we're going to France. Go. And what this is going to do is it's going to pull up all of the information about France. So this first one is whether or not they take the EU digital COVID certificates. Now, one thing about that, today, July 1st, 2021, the EU is supposed to make some announcements about the new digital COVID passport and what is going to be required and whether other non-EU people are going to be allowed to get that. As it stands right now, non-EU people can only get it if the country they're going to offers it. So for instance, if you're going to, and I don't know if this is true, but if you're going to France and France happens to allow visitors to get the EU digital certificate, then you could get it through France. But there are supposed to be announcements today. As of this morning, I hadn't seen any, but stay up to date on this EU website, because that is where all of the information is going to be updated first. So anyway, back to the website, you can see this is where it's going to have all of the information in regard to the vaccine and what their status is in their country and what they're accepting. This is the travel. This is the current COVID measures that are in place. This is the health situation, and then general information. Let's go back to travel. So this is just general information. If you go here, this is if you are an EU member and what is going to be required as another EU member. This one is if you're non-EU. So most of my people watching today are non-EU. So this is primarily where you're going to want to visit. Read through everything, and I mean everything. If you are not a detail-oriented person, this is the year you maybe want to have either somebody else do it for you or put on your detail-oriented hat or something, because it is the most important that you get all of the details this year in particular. And then this is the transit information. So again, if you're only going through that country, you still need to check this, because it could affect the rules of what you need to have or not have. It is so important that you know absolutely every rule before you head out on your vacation, so that you don't get stuck, waylaid, stuck in a quarantine, rejected. There have been people that have been rejected from their ultimate destination. So make sure you're reading this absolutely tip to top to bottom, and understand exactly what it is you're going into and what you need to have to make sure everything runs smoothly. I want to go back for one moment to the main screen. One thing I wanted to show you, I mentioned America was on the green list, and then there's amber and red. If you scroll down, this is the home page. If you scroll down, these are the countries that are currently listed as green. So as you can see, America is listed here, also New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Israel. Canada is not on here yet. So if you're Canadian, you need to know whether you're orange or red, and then make sure you follow those guidelines before you head to the EU. One more thing I want to show you on this website is travel plan. So you can put where you're coming from, you can put where you're going to, and then if you have any other stops in between, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to know. It'll send you to those places so you can get the right information and know exactly what you're gonna need to take your vacation this year. Now, the next one is just a piece of advice. You don't have to follow it, and you may not be following it, but this year, with the complication of all the COVID situation, I would recommend this is the year where you only visit maybe one country. I would not recommend it to be the year where you're going to be going on a 7-country tour of Europe. You can, of course, if you do it that way, I highly recommend using either a travel agent or taking a tour operator, something that has been put together by the tour operators, because they will make sure that you know everything you need to know to facilitate that tour around all the different countries. The reason I say this is every country is completely different on what they require. So you're gonna come from, say, America to France to start, and that'll be one set of requirements, but then France to Germany might be a completely different set of requirements, and every country they're in. So unless you're doing it with a professional to help make sure everything is covered, or you are incredibly detail oriented and really know how to make sure everything is organized and taken care of, or through a tour operator, I would recommend this be the year that you maybe just do one country to explore that one country and save those multi-country tours for maybe 2022 or beyond. On the note of visiting those countries, this is also the year that you should not improvise. And by that I mean, this is not the year where you want to backpack through Europe and just show up at a hotel or hostel and expect to find availability. Most countries are wanting to know that you have reserved lodging in the destination that you're going to. They want to know you have that hotel reservation or that Airbnb or whatever it is that you're doing. You need to have all of those reservations before you go to that country. Also, any activities that you're doing, shows that you're seeing, even restaurants, reserve and make appointments and buy tickets for as much as you possibly can ahead of time. Because of the limited capacity in a lot of these places, if you think you're gonna get there and still be able to get in, chances are, or maybe not chances are, but you run into a much higher risk of not having the availability. So be sure to plan any potential, anything that you want to do, reservations, everything ahead of time. This is the year where you need to be the most organized of any time ever in your life. And if you're not an organized person, then use the professional, because they will be that organization for you. Speaking of having all those reservations, the other thing that I highly recommend you do is print everything. And I mean everything. Bring a hard copy of your vaccine or test, or both. Bring a hard copy of your reservation at that hotel or resort or hostel or Airbnb, whatever it is. Bring hard copies of everything. Basically, the airlines have said, because of the digital vaccine passports and all of the new rules, basically airlines are a complete mess, complete mess. The airlines have literally said that to expect it to be complete chaos. So what happens is sometimes either there's a TSA or a customs agent that doesn't know what the latest thing is, and so it holds up the line, and you have to explain to them, no, this is exactly what is required. Sometimes they don't accept the digital, they only accept the printed. Sometimes the digital reader isn't working. So no matter what the situation, print everything, and bring it with you when you go on your vacation. Speaking of chaos at the airports, my next tip is to expect chaos. Expect lines. So for instance, in America, the TSA, they simply don't have enough employees yet. They're hiring like crazy to keep up with demand. So simply by having less employees, that is going to cause some chaos in regard to the wait times at the airports. So always give yourself extra time, especially if you're flying to the EU, much more time than you normally would. And one thing that you can do if you're going to the airport super early is take advantage of those first class lounges. Go ahead and see this video above where I talk about how to get passes to those lounges. So make sure you're building that time in. The other thing is when you get to the other side, customs is even worse. They are saying it's taking approximately 20 minutes per person to get through the custom line. And I don't mean your party, I mean in the entire line. So if there's 100 people in line, guess how long you're waiting. So just know that that customs line might be extremely long, and plan for that. Just know it's gonna happen. Use the bathroom before you get in line, bring snacks, bring something to read, something to keep the kids occupied. Just know that's gonna be a long line. The other thing you could do is get a global entry, which won't help so much going into a foreign country, but will help you when you come back, or the TSA pre-check. Those are some things that could help expedite things a little quicker, but just know it's gonna be chaos. Don't freak out about it, but just build it into your plan. Build in more time, bring more snacks and more activities, and just make it a part of your day. And know when you get to Europe, if you are in an 8-hour line, and they are saying it could be up to 8 hours in line in customs, build that into your vacation. So don't have that be one of the vacation days that you're thinking you're gonna go do a bunch of tours. Have that travel day just be a travel day and nothing else. That way, and if you have to build in extra days on the back end, do that. But just know that day might be shot depending on how things go. All right, my next tip has to do with your flight. A lot of airlines are canceling routes. And the reason is, again, they're not getting the staff back, and so they don't have enough staff to cover all of the new sudden demand that is coming on now that vaccines are spreading more and we are able to travel more. So keep an eye on your flight from the moment you book it all the way until you leave, because there have been cancellations of routes, a lot of cancellations of routes. So make sure you're watching that. And then if they do cancel it, they're not gonna just automatically book you on something else necessarily. So make sure you're proactive and getting yourself on a different flight if that happens. Now, they can't keep your money. They'll have to give you a credit or give you a refund, but be sure you're staying on top of that so you don't not realize it until the last minute, and then now there's no flights available for you. So watch it on a regular basis. And the final tip is to keep an eye on the country that you are dealing with. So the country you're going to, the country you're leaving from, and the country that you perhaps might be transiting through. Make sure you're watching that EU website, the Reopen EU website or app, so that you're monitoring exactly what's happening. So in case there's a new spike, in case there's a new change, in case maybe they do start opening that EU digital certificate and you can get that, and that might save you more time. Watch those things from the moment you book it all the way until you leave, because as you know, things change hourly and we need to stay on top so we're prepared. So our trip doesn't go terribly wrong. When we finally get out from COVID and finally get to that country, we're so excited, and then we get screwed because we didn't catch something. So stay on top of that the whole time. To help you plan your trip, you can also take a look at these videos. If you enjoyed the information that we shared, if you can give us a thumbs up, and we hope to see you on the next video. Happy travels, be safe out there, and we will see you on the next video. Take care, bye-bye.